Hi everybody, Russ and the West End Network. Hope you're safe and well. So it's another game week we're playing Friday, and I was just saying to Dave, I don't really like Friday. It's a bit chaotic this Friday, but obviously, as we always try and do, we bring in a opposition fan and chew the fat about what they think about the season ahead and transfer rumours and who you want to bring in and who you brought in, all that type of stuff. And obviously, we've got Dave from Owen the Town podcast. Now, Dave, the last time we played you was in the league was about 30 years ago.
Yeah, long time, isn't it? Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.
I have to say, it's a long time ago, and you're going to remind me of the score in a minute, aren't you? I can tell.
Well, no. Well, I don't know why, because we, if actually, to be honest, last time we played you was actually where is it? There it is. It is. It was Scott Oakes,
Scotty Oakes, David Priest in the background there.
The old
Alvin that are no longer there.
I know. 19. Actually, the last time we played you was in the cup. Was a 6th round replay.
1994.
It was, and Scott Oakes scored a hat-trick.
We come to Upton Park.
Yep.
And got a 0-0.
He did.
I'm sure of that.
He did.
This was a replay. It well. Yeah, it was a cracking game at Upton Park. I remember standing in the away end that night, and I know it was on Match of the Day or something later on in the evening as well. But to get a result at your place was a big thing for us that night, and then to get back to Kenilworth Road. Scotty Oakes was on form that night.
If I remember
rightly. And we ended up getting Chelsea in the semi-final, and they switched it to Wembley. And rather than the day they had it on originally, I could go, and then they switched it to the next day, and I had to go to a wedding, and I really didn't want to go to a wedding. It was a bit strange one for me, but yeah, then we got done. So I remember that game quite often. And I always remember when I was younger and all the years I've been supporting Luton Town that West Ham used to be a team I used to love watching, with the likes of, Billy Bonds and obviously the England captain. Who was in goal for you guys? I can't remember back in the day.
Well, we had Phil Parks.
Phil Parks. Phil Parks. I just couldn't remember for a minute.
That's right.
I always used to watch Trevor Brooking, all those sort of players, and I loved West Ham at the time. But there was a thing that when we played you, we generally did well. And obviously there's that book, Irrational Hatred of Luton.
Banks,
and it just seems that we had mostly, and I'm going to forget all the times we've lost, obviously, but when I was there, I'm thinking, do you know what? We could beat West Ham. West Ham. That was then. And now I feel a little bit different. But yeah, I've got some fond memories of West Ham, cup finals and everything else. And so I there are teams that you don't mind. And I'm pleased to say I cheered you on in Europe. And I desperately don't dislike West Ham United.
There we go.
I don't think there are teams I wouldn't give the light of day to, but that's not
very true. I think that's the same as most people. I think, Dave, to be honest, I think most people, there's certain teams where you have like a fondness for, and there's certain teams that you go, do you know what? I'll be more than happy if I never saw it played against you ever again. But obviously, I think because obviously we played, it was 94, and I think we played you. And then the last time in the league was 93, and we lost 2-0 at Kenilworth Road. As well, so that was my sort of first proper year supporting West Ham because it was like that because we got promoted that year. I think us and Newcastle got promoted that year into the Premier League for the first time ever. And now 30 years on, it's your time in the Premier League first time ever. So it's a cyclical thing. How's it coping being one of the Premier League elite now?
Well, you say elite. I thought you were going to say underdogs because that's everybody's calling us. That's what we are. They don't expect us to stay long. For me personally, I've been supporting Luton Town since, I know I don't look old enough when I say this, but since 1969, 70.
Wow.
So I've seen Luton in the old First Division in the 70s. I saw them for 10 years in the 80s, and I saw their demise all the way down through all that mismanagement by the former owners to the non-league. And I spent a long time thinking I'm never going to see them back in the top flight. I'm never going to see them at Wembley again. So to get back after the time when the guys have taken over and done the right thing is immense. For the playoff final win was unbelievably brilliant. And, to go up that way, I would rather have gone up automatically. But if you could tell any fan if you got to the final you'd win it,
Totally.
it's a much better way going up.
I love it. Yeah, we did it. We did it in 2012. We played in Blackpool, and we turned over Blackpool. I think about 4 or 5-0 both games, home and away, and they turned up, and it was an awful game, really. But you're totally right, and to win at Wembley, and to the prize being next year you're playing, the biggest clubs in England, if not Europe and stuff, is brilliant. No, I love the playoffs. I do love the playoffs. We've lost. I still have we have an irrational hatred of Luton. I have an irrational hatred of Crystal Palace for that exact reason. Neil Shipley, particularly. But the playoffs can be great. We did it in 2005 as well at Cardiff, which was great against Preston North End, and it's a great way to go up. It's heartbreaking if you lose, but as you said, it's such a well, and particularly for Luton to have first time in the Premier League, and just and obviously this is not just that. It's always the way. Same as last year. Last year we were Nottingham Forest's first game at home in the Premier League, and now we're Luton Town's first home game, because obviously it got rearranged for the development in Kenilworth Road, and it's gonna be bouncing on Friday, isn't it?
You'd like to think so. I mean, I was there for the League Cup game. To see the new stand that they built in 12 weeks is unbelievable. I mean, again, a lot of people have come and go, well, it's not much of a stand, but it's a big upgrade to what was there. And just by putting those few extra seats in, we're no longer the smallest capacity in the Premier League, which I think I kind of like. I think we're all looking forward to this game. I think I'd have preferred it to have been Burnley, second game of the season. I would have preferred that, given the fact that we started at Brighton and then we've gone straight to Chelsea. I think if we'd have had Burnley, and I'm not disrespecting Burnley, but we probably had more of a chance of getting something off of them that second week of the season. And then you've got 3 points on the board or 1 point on the board, and then it doesn't look so desperate. All the pundits are writing us off, but as Friday comes closer, interest picks up, and the place will be bouncing because all the good supporters will be in. I'm not saying all the bad supporters there the other night, but all the good supporters will be in. We know what this means to us.
Yeah.
But, and there's a big but for me, you guys haven't had a bad start. And now if you've had a really crazy start, you've nicked a point here and there.
Yeah.
I'd be going in there full of confidence that we can get an absolute big result. And by a big result I mean win. But you drew at Bournemouth 1-1, and then you beat Brighton. Was it 3-1 at Brighton?
Yeah, and then Chelsea.
Well, we got stuffed 4-1 at Brighton. Albeit I think a little bit flattered them a little bit towards the end. And then obviously Chelsea the other week we lost 3-0. And it felt like it could have been more. But, there was a point where I thought I was in the game. So we're full of optimism because we have to get results at home, because we're not going to get much away. So if we don't pick up this game, I mean, I wouldn't want to be the first Premier League team to come to us, but you're coming on the top of a high, really.
We are, but with the thing with West Ham, David, and I'm sure it's the same with your club and other clubs as well. These are the types of games that we always don't. We don't match the occasion. The same thing happened with Forest last year, and I think he should have been named the former captain, number 41 for West Ham. Missed a penalty, I think, against Forest. I think Forest ended up winning 1-0, and they were all. It was all Forest, really. It was all Forest, and I think the start of the season for West Ham has really sort of taken a lot of fans by surprise. From West Ham fans from surprise, in that we there was obviously we won the Conference League, and that was great, but there was sort of a lot of disharmony in terms of Moyes and stuff like that, and in terms of the way he plays, and the signings took a lot of time to come through, and they've started to trickle through now. But there was a lot of pessimism for this season. There still is, but it's, as I said, it's the incentive for West Ham is we could be top. We could be top on Friday if we win again. But I think to be honest, Luton are you guys, the players are gonna be buzzing, absolutely buzzing. And actually, funny, I've got a funny story about the about the playoff as well, because I was in Dubai. This is not me saying because I was on holiday. I was in Dubai and I bumped into Steve Potts, who was staying at my obviously famous West Ham, captain, still associated with the club's under-23 coach, and obviously Danny, obviously plays for you guys. And I was like, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "Oh, I had to cancel my holiday and rebook it because Danny got through to the playoff final." And he was like, "I was like, I bet you're glad you fucking did." He went, "Yeah, I did too, fucking right." But that was amazing. And that's the thing. There's so many. I was thinking, mate. I was always trying to put together, a sort of an idea. We have so many players who have played for both West Ham and Luton. It's ridiculous. I mean, I've literally put a few up. This is not in no way a exhaustive list. Not even talking about the people who are currently playing for Luton. But I mean, that's just me literally brain dumping about an hour ago. Lots in my era, the likes of Timmy Breaker and Keith Rowland, friends of the channel, Mike Small, Paul Mitchell, Keith Rowland, who I saw this morning actually in Sainsbury's, Jim Standen, Rob Snoddy, Ian Foyer, Adam Newton, some great names there, absolutely great names. And obviously, and Flynn Downs as well, obviously. Current West, well, he's on loan now, but current West Ham player, and Ian Dowie and Henry Lansbury. Oh, good looking man. Oh, Ian Dowie was, wasn't he? Merv the Swerve, Ollie and Elliot both obviously played for George, Matty, some Johnny Artson, some great names there as well, and Matt Upson.
Wow. And Matt Upson, but to be fair, when he was at our place, he wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I'm saving my Matt Upson story when I write my autobiography. But obviously, as I said, Danny's still playing. He's playing for you guys, and Reese and Pelly as well. So there's still a real sort of West Ham connection at Luton. And I mean, someone like Pelly has been, through the thick and thin with you guys, isn't he? Really.
Well, you forgot his second name is Pelly the Legend now. Pelly the Legend. Pelly, let's be fair, first ever player in Premier League history to go from non-league to the Premier League with the same club. Is an amazing achievement. And now there's been times where we've been watching Pelly and we're thinking to ourselves, do you know what? He needs to improve a bit. But every league he's gone through, he's got a little bit better at times. And there was a discussion on our podcast a long time ago, maybe, when we were sort of a League Two, pushing for League One, is Pelly a legend? And it was sort of said no. But you get to this level and he's been good in every division. You need to give him a chance in the Premier League. I hope he lives up to it, really, because that's the main thing, isn't it? That he lives up to the status that he's achieved. He's an amazing player. And when he's on form, when he's in the right form, when he's doing it right, he's quite good. But then you've only got to look at our first game at Brighton, and we got ourselves back in the game, and you're thinking, any minute now we're holding you here, and we could probably get an equaliser. That's what I was thinking. And then he stupidly passes the ball to someone to score a goal right in, and our game's over then. So he's prone to error occasionally, but he's a great player for us. He's been a great player, and you've got to give him a chance to perform in this league. How long he's going to be with us, it depends where we are next season, doesn't it, I suppose? Because if we can do a miracle thing and stay up, then life changes again, doesn't it? And we'll push on some more. But if we get relegated, like everybody thinks we're going to be, then we're prepared for trying to get straight back, which is the main thing.
And I mean, in terms of obviously some of the signings you brought in the transfer window, obviously like Ross Barkley, Tim Krul, some good Premier League experience, really. I think, it's particularly like Ross Barkley. I think it's an absolute, that one went really under the radar, I thought, and I was like, that's a great signing, because I think Ross, with a bit of with being the man in a club, I think he would be absolutely phenomenal for you guys.
It was a big surprise. My son works for Luton Town. He does a lot of their stuff, and he does all their interviews and media stuff. And he didn't know they'd been signing until he got the call the night before telling him to go in. But he never tells me anything because he's not allowed to, obviously.
Yeah.
And that one went totally under the radar. No one knew he was coming, and thank God, because sometimes he's available, we'll go get him, that sort of thing. I think he needs a bit more time on the pitch. I think the time he spent, I think he didn't do too bad at Chelsea. against Gillingham in the whatever the League Cup's called these days, Carabao Cup. He, it wasn't great, but most of the team weren't great, if I'm honest.
Sure.
Because I think he needs a bit more time out. But he's got the potential. You don't be a former England player.
No.
You don't go to the clubs he's played for and then not be able to play football anymore. So, he was a big signing. We're pleased to get Nakamba back, marvellous from Villa. He was key for us and pivotal for us last season. Definitely made a change when he came in January on loan. And he really bossed the midfield in the Championship. Again, sometimes I think he's a little bit off pace. But then I'm quite excited by some of the other people who signed. Chong, for instance.
From Birmingham,
and Giles. So, I think people saying we're recruiting not to stay up, we're recruiting to come back up. And I don't understand that because, every player is good enough to have a go. Sometimes when Chong's got the ball, he's really, really quick. Jacob Brown from Stoke? He runs the game. He's really, really strong character. He's someone you want on your team that he's not going to stop running around and stop being in the right places. And then we got Gabore from Manchester City on loan. He's quick as well, but they just need time to gel. And I don't think they've had enough time to gel yet. But,
No,
I don't think we can go the whole season without getting a result. I just feel that we just need
not at all.
to take some opportunities when they come. And I think that's our downfall the other night. Not in the League Cup, but at Brighton, we had a couple of really decent chances to score, and we didn't put them away. And then before you know it, you're 3-1 down. And
that's the difference, isn't it? That's the difference when going up into terms of the Premier League. You're totally right. When the chances are a lot less, and when you've got them, you have to take them. And if you don't take them, 9 times out of 10 you will get punished. And that's something which I think most teams when they can't sort of realise that it literally is you've got when it's the chance to be presented, you have to take it. But I think in terms of the guys you brought in, I think that it's sensible signings, and I think actually it's reminiscent. You haven't overspent, so you're within your means, and as you said, it's. I think it's great to see Luton in there. I think it's great to see new clubs in there. Obviously, you've got Sheffield United back up as well, Burnley back up, and I think there's it's a real. I just it's not the usual suspects. That's why I like someone like Luton in there because I just think it just gives someone different and someone that it's a team that I don't know a lot of, and I've known a bit about them because obviously I've kept an eye on Danny, I've kept an eye on Reece, particularly because Reece was a guy that I thought was destined for West Ham. And destined to be on the peripherals of the first team. And everywhere he went on loan, he was always player of the season. He went to Hull, he was player of the season. Went to you guys, he was brilliant as well. And so I've always sort of kept an eye on obviously Pelly as well because it's such an extraordinary story. Is there anyone else? Is there any other signings you think you're gonna make before? I don't know when you're gonna sign them. Like half time,
Well, I'd be very surprised if the board aren't really securing everything right now. Obviously, we were linked with your man from Newcastle where that fell through. Rumours are saying, is it Holding from Arsenal? But I don't know too much about him, so I literally don't know if that's a good signing or not. But there's not been much else going on, really, if I'm honest. There's been some tiny rumours of players training with us or, the former Tottenham guy whose name I totally can't remember. And I wrote it down earlier, so I can't find it either. But, I'm not too worried. I think we've recruited okay. I think if we just hang on till Christmas and we don't get cast away by Christmas, then there'll be more recruiting in January.
Makes sense.
And we don't want to be cast off, but if we don't start getting points on the board soon, that could be where we are. I don't want to be cast adrift. As long as we can stay in touch, then I think come the new year there'll be more recruitment. Players leaving, I'm not too concerned about who's gone, but the one player I wanted to get a go is Alan Campbell, and it looks at the moment like he might, from what they're saying, he might be going. So I think that's disappointing. But then we got a strong midfield, so I think we'll be okay. I genuinely think we're okay. I know it sounds like I'm a whinging Luton fan, and I don't mean to sound like that, but I feel that every single pundit's written us off. Every single pundit. When we lost to Brighton 4-1, Alan Shearer called us naive, and we played some poor football that you wouldn't even see on a Sunday football field. But when Wolves lost to Brighton, it was how good Brighton were.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And then when West Ham beat Brighton, they didn't say how poor Brighton was. They said how good West Ham were. And you look at the possession details for your game at
it was shocking.
But that's not the point, is it? I was about to say it's about the same. I think it was something like 27% or something like around that area. And we don't have a lot of the ball, but you made yours count. And that's where we're missing at the moment. And
it's going to be interesting because obviously we play a low possession game, and so do you. So people are going to kick off, and no one's going to know what to do with the ball. They'll be like, "What? No, short. No. What do we do, Mr. Moyes? No, carry on." Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what we do as well, because obviously we've had. Bournemouth was a bit of a different game, but Chelsea and Brighton are two sides we never really do well against. And obviously, Chelsea we sort of do well against at home, but not away. So that was obviously Brighton was the first. That's the first time in 12 games, or 13 time of trying in the Premier League actually beating them. So they were our bogey team. I still have nightmares of fucking Glenn Murray. You know what I mean? It's like, come. And then when he went, it's like, then they got Danny Welbeck, who was just as bad. And Neil Mopai, literally, these guys are just burnt into my brain. I hate them all. But I think Luton is, and we go into that as probably favourites, and that's something which we haven't really had this season. And we've just spent 40 odd million on our new. We don't know where he's going to be playing. Attacking midfielder, left wing, right wing, up front. We don't know in terms of Mohamed Kudus from Ajax. There'll be pressure for him to play. One probably crumb of hope is obviously for you guys is Thomas Souček won't be available. He'll not suspended. He got concussed the Brighton game. So I imagine it's a shame.
Sorry.
Actually, no. To be honest, most West Ham fans are quite happy that Thomas Souček is concussed. In all honesty,
oh really? Okay.
Yeah, because it means that he's one of Moyes' generals. He's one of the ones who, even if he's playing crap, he'll be playing next week. He's nailed on for a first team spot. So with him not playing, he can't play him basically, so he has to do something different. So he has to play Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse and Paqueta and in a more of a highly attractive free. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be really interesting because obviously the last few games people have gone, okay, well we've played a really low possession game, but we've won, and we can see that's the way we call it Moyes ball, basically 1.0. That's exactly what it is. Moyes ball keeps it tight, lets you have the ball, and then we try and hit you on the counter attack. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen at Kenilworth Road, because you guys play a low possession game as well, so it's going to be really probably not a great one for the neutrals, I think, in terms of more of attrition, but we'll see.
I would like to think that we're going to come out all guns blazing.
Yeah, me too.
And I'd like to think that we're going to push for some opportunities in the first half, and if we're lucky enough to score, then the game will open up a bit. If we don't score, I think we'll be worn down. I generally think that West Ham are a decent side. You're the fan, but I'm looking from the outside thinking you don't get your first 3 games and you got 7 points, and we've got none. We've scored 1 goal. It was a penalty, and it's a bit difficult, isn't it? So for us, I think as a fan, I want to come out. I want to play a little bit better. The final third of the game, is missing a little bit, but I'd love to see us start quick and have a bit of possession and flick the ball around the pitch like we can. We always have the comparison, they're like the old Wimbledon. No, we're not. We're a bit different than them. If Manchester City kick a ball 70 meters down the pitch, or however long the bloody pitch is, that's a magnificent pass. But if teams like we do it, it's a hoof. You play to your strengths, right? So we are going to do some direct balls. There's no getting away from it. There'll be some direct balls. There'll be some fantastic crossing. We've got Carlton Morris. I think is a brilliant striker.
Yeah.
He's already been dismissed by people on the radio saying, he might have been a 20-goal scorer in Championship, but he won't get half of that in the Premier League. Well, if he gets half of that, we've got another player to get the other half. I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But as far as the game goes, I think it could be quite an interesting tie, because I think even if we go ahead, please, if we're going to lose, and I've said this to anyone I've speaking to this season, if we're going to lose, please let us score first, because it's more fun that way for me.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, if we score first, then the crowd will be right up for it.
Yeah.
I don't think West Ham will be out of it by any means whatsoever. And even at 2-0, if it was 2-0, I'd still be terrified. And rightly or wrongly, because I know how Luton play in those situations, you know. So I'm hoping that it's a kind of cool game to watch, a good game to watch. And you'll if you're coming down, you'll get to see how the stadium looks now, which is different.
Yeah. Oh no, I would love to, but unfortunately, no, can't get a ticket. It's like Bournemouth,
1100, isn't it? 1100.
It's like Bournemouth. You can't get a ticket for Bournemouth. Like, it's love nor money for Bournemouth either. No, I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's a really interesting game. I think it's going to really sort of, from a West Ham perspective, I think it's really going to show what we're going to do this year. So if we you know, if we lose, which is more than possible with West Ham in terms of the way we play, then it'll be same old West. You know, it's like, you know, it's almost like, you know, our war cry song is about bubbles fading and dying. So, you know, we've already set ourselves up to a fall, to be honest. So, you know, it's like, oh, okay, same old West. But if we win the game, then, you know, and a typical West Ham fan, we're a quarter way of staying up. You know, that's the way.
To be fair, though, you know, the problem you have is you're playing Luton. That's the problem in everybody's mentality. We're not even a championship side to a lot of people. A lot of people only know you've been non-league for that many years. They won't know the full history about us. A lot of younger people will not know where Luton Town have been, that they've won a major trophy, even though people laugh at it. Not major anymore, but it was a major trophy for us. So it's not somewhere we haven't been before. It's just not in this guise of it is. But we're only little Luton, and that's the problem, because, you know, there are some mentality supporters that will go, well, we should be beating Luton. There's not a team in that Premier League right now that hasn't put at least 3 points against us.
True, very true.
Not one team. Whereas I've gone through this fixture list, and the first one I went, oh, Brighton, well, that's going to be tough. Chelsea, that's going to be tough. Oh, Burnley postponed. Oh, West Ham. Oh, goodness me. And then we've got Wolves, Fulham, coming up, and we've got to get points from these. You know, and if West Ham have had a terrible start, would have gone in a little bit more confident. I think that, you know, we might be up for a win, but you've just beaten the two teams that absolutely wiped us off the pitch in times. You know, we couldn't cope with Sterling. We couldn't cope. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. Yeah. So, and it's just that, and the expectations for West Ham supporters, quite rightly so, given their history and what they've done this last season and now. Should be that you can beat us. That's what it should be. But I didn't want to be the first team to come to Kenilworth Road in the Premier League, because I think the crowd would be up for it, the players would be up for it. We've got a lot to prove. So, in my view, I'm just hoping, amongst all hopes, that we can get a good start.
Yeah. I think you are. I think you're totally right. I think the crowd will be, you know, there's a reason why Sky picked it. The reason why it's on Friday, because it's you know, it's the first Premier League game at Kenilworth Road. You know, first, you know, the crowd are going to be absolutely buzzing for it. The players will feed off that, and you'll come out the blocks. And I wouldn't be surprised if you got an early goal, just because that's always usually the way, isn't it? It does tend to happen that way. And it's whether we've got the mentality to fight back from it, you know, and fight against the crowd. And so, look, we'll see. I mean, I'm always a very optimistic fan, so I'm going to say we're going to win. But I think if we come over a draw, I'll be happy. I'll be happy with a draw, honestly, because I think it's going to be a tough place to go to, and I think he's going to, and I think you're totally right. That's how you guys are going to have to pick up your points, isn't it? And so, same as Burnley, same as Sheffield United. I mean, the three of you, none of you got any points yet, and Everton as well. So, and looks like Everton just been knocked out the Carabao Cup as well. So,
really, even better,
even better. One down, and
listen, we've only got to be better than three teams. I know that sounds an easy thing.
It's true.
It's better than three teams, and, you know, as long as we don't get cast adrift, we'll be on. You know, we'll give us a shout. You know, I don't want to be that bottom team at Christmas that's 10, 15 points off safety, because you know you're done for then.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think that, you know, we can stay in it, and you know, who knows what might happen? Who knows what might happen? All I know is that every Luton Town supporter is grateful for the club's done what they've done. Totally. 2020 that have been brilliant. We've got a new stadium on the horizon. I think that changes it. I think that puts us in that same bracket as Brentford and Brighton. And you know, if we can get that new stadium up in a couple of years, 3 years, I think the projection is, and we're still in the mix, Championship, Premier League, then then I see the next phase for our club.
Brilliant.
But you can't put aside what happened to us, how we were treated, how we've got back from that. So every Luton Town supporter knows this is going to be a tough season. Every single one of us know that. But what we do know is we're going to enjoy every single game, and going home and away is brilliant. And and even the prices going away in the Premier League are much better than the Championship. Much better, much cheaper. So we're just having fun, and we're going to go to Man City. We don't expect to win there. We don't expect,
right, mate.
we don't expect to win to Liverpool, Man United, but we hope there might be a. Who would have said Brentford beat Manchester City twice last season? Nobody.
Anything can happen. It's the Premier League is a crazy league, and anyone anyone in their day could easily turn over anyone else. And that's a great thing. And it is about just enjoying it, as I said. And I think it's a great achievement from where where you were to where you are now. It's just enjoy it, and we'll as I said, it'll be fun, and enjoy seeing all these phenomenal teams as well turning up at Kenilworth Road. It must be absolutely amazing. It's
First person I see holding up one of those bloody signs, "Can I have your shirt?" I think I'll go over and just rip it off them. That's going to happen, isn't it? It's just going to happen.
It is. But I suppose with a smaller, tighter ground, with smaller capacity, you won't have so many football tourists turning up. Because just young kids asking for a Highland shirt. Yeah,
that's going to happen, isn't it? So
yeah. Or when they start bringing in flags of a nation that they don't belong to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's like we've got Kudus from Ghana, and you'll see like loads of random kids will be turning up with Ghanaian flags who have no Ghanaian heritage. It's like, no.
Very fickle, aren't we? When you think about supporters, we're very fickle. There's a few flags up at Luton Town. The best one is hidden in the main stand. I don't think you can see it on television, but it's about how we were betrayed by the FA in 2008. And that's one of our songs, isn't it? And never forget what happened to us. And I think even the board, they're all supporters. So where they're putting this flag up in our stadium, it's going to the new stadium as well. So it's just a reminder that there are proper supporters at this stadium that really love the club and really wanted to do well. At the moment there is no capacity for tourists. We've got a waiting list, believe that or not, for season tickets. People can't get tickets. People can't get away tickets unless you're lucky, like myself, to have a ticket to get you an away ticket. I want more people. I'd love to see more kids come in because that's the future of your club, right? But they can't get tickets. We've got a very old fan base, I think. There's a few youngsters, but everyone's excited. At the Carabao Cup the other night against Gillingham, if we'd have been in Championship, I guarantee there'd have been 3,000-4,000 there.
Yeah.
Last night it was full.
Brilliant.
It was full. So, we've got Luton at the moment are on the up. The town's on the up. And just hope the club stays on the up. Just for a little bit longer.
Just a little bit longer. Although I think Everton just equalised now anyway. The guy that Beto they just bought has just scored the equaliser. Anyway, I mean, Dave, I wish you the best for the season after tomorrow. After Friday, rather. Well, actually, tomorrow, because we were putting it out on Thursday, or it's Wednesday night. After Friday, I wish you the best of the season, and I generally do, because it's great to see different. It's like when clubs break into the top 6 or the top 4, who aren't proverbially in the top 4. It's nice to see that change of the garden. It's nice to see new clubs come in who haven't been, as it like Forest were a couple of seasons ago, and I mean Burnley sort of up and down, but obviously it's great to see Luton in there, and and obviously fair play to the 1,000 or so who managed to get tickets to West Ham. Fair bloody play. You must have some serious points allocation to get them.
1,100, isn't it? 1,100 and something. And a group of them will be sitting in the new stand. There's not many seats there, but they'll have the best unobstructed view ever. And just a warning to you West Ham supporters in the Oak Road, if you haven't been for years or you've never been before, the seating is so close together you have to stand up. There's extra pylons in there now. So instead of the ones that are holding up the stand, there's 2 extra ones going up. So that restricts your view a little bit more. And the best thing about it is they put new floodlights in, so you can see now. So that's the one thing.
That helps on a Friday night,
but there's 2 other pylons going in. I think more floodlights or more VAR cameras, one of the 2, which might get on some people's nerves. And don't forget, you've got the obligatory walk across the gardens, because everybody points that one out. So, you're going through the housing up through the gardens. Do you know what? That used to be the home end. So, for me, that was normal. But if you've never been before, enjoy the view. I'll like to see, as always, every single club posts a picture. So good luck to you. See if you can get a good one in.
Love it, Dave. Oh, Dave. And obviously, if people who want to hear more from you, obviously you've got Owen, the Town podcast, available on all platforms.
Yeah, all your usual platforms: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. We record on a Monday. This week we're doing it Saturday after the game. It released on a Tuesday. If you want to hear what we said about the game afterwards, if you like it, if you can like it, that'd be fantastic, because every little helps.
Will do, Dave. And thank you very, very much for your time. And is it so we go? Come on, you Irons. What's the Luton equivalent?
Well, come on, you Hatters, obviously.
Come on, you Hatters, of course.
Come on, you Hatters. And you know what? Whatever happens, I'm gonna have a great night. So
good. Yeah, it's Friday night. It's Friday night, isn't it?
Night out. But Friday night under the lights of Kenilworth Road, the atmosphere should be electric.
It will be.
Should be. The worst thing can happen to you guys score first, then it might kill it a bit.
But the kick, but the pre-match will be good, and then what happens afterwards, But and to be honest, the West Ham the away fans are phenomenal, and so they'll be bringing it as well. So it'll be a really good atmosphere, and hopefully both sides enjoy a really good game. Fans enjoy a good game, and maybe West Ham come up on top. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you. If you're new, Andy, give me a like, give me a comment, give me a share, give us a subscribe. Go over and check Dave and the team, Owen, the Town podcast. Will be the link in the YouTube title and stuff. So go and show them some love. And if whether the result on Friday, make sure you pop over there on Saturday and have a good. Well, it'll be out on Tuesday the following week. But in terms of get your thoughts, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of West Ham fans talking whether happens, win or lose. They'll be on the booze anyway. So take care, stay safe. See you later, everybody. Come on, you Irons.